The NCAA sanctions Michigan football for Burgergate. How bad is it? What does it mean? I'll tell you right here on Locked On Big Ten.
You are Locked On Big Ten, your daily podcast on the Big Ten Conference. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Big Ten. I'm Craig Sheeman. Coming up on 40 years as a sports talk show host and play-by-play announcer. I want to thank you for making us your first listen every day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. It's part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code Locked On for $20 off your first purchase. We're going to do a deep dive into Michigan's NCAA sanctions. We're going to talk about the transfer portal for football. And by the way, some great news for Indiana hoops. Hang around for that. And our power rankings, why size matters. We will get to all of that. But Michigan fans, all right, let's talk about this. Everybody has enjoyed the undefeated national championship and the great season that came to be. And everybody is now used to the fact that Jim Harbaugh is gone and Sherrone Moore is in charge and the spring game is coming up this weekend. So, all right, even keel. But in the back of your minds throughout all this have been the two ongoing NCAA investigations in the program involving Burgergate and SPYGATE. One of the issues has been resolved, and I think it's a mere slap on the wrist. Not much to worry about. I'll give you all the details here in a second. But first, a quick recap. Now, Burgergate had to do with former coach Jim Harbaugh meeting with recruits during a dead non-visit time, according to the NCAA, due to the COVID pandemic. Harbaugh brought the kids to a local restaurant there in Ann Arbor, bought them some burgers, hence the moniker Burgergate. That event in and of itself would have been a minor violation of NCAA rules, but the NCAA felt that Harbaugh was never truthful about the event, which bumped the allegation to a major infraction that they were all over. Kept digging and looking and investigating. The NCAA reportedly wanted Harbaugh to be suspended for 4 games going into last season, and the university fought it. And at first it was announced that there would be no suspension, right? They drew the line in the sand, no suspension, weren't going to comply. But then the school decided, all right, let's self-impose a 3-game suspension as a preemptive measure here and kind of hold our ground a little bit. Then as the season went on, just as Harbaugh was getting back into the flow with the football team on game day, the Connor Stalions SPYGATE story was leaked in midseason. And despite both the fact that the NCAA and the Big Ten, said there was no direct evidence to Jim Harbaugh or that he was aware that this elaborate on-site sign-stealing operation was going on, the Big Ten decided, you know what? We're going to cave to pressure here. We got to suspend Harbaugh for the final 3 games of the season. Michigan tried to get it down to 2 so they would be available for the season ender against Ohio State, but at the end they decided to drop that effort, and all Harbaugh sat out the last 3 games in addition to the first 3 games of a very strange but successful season in Ann Arbor. By the way, that investigation to SPYGATE, both with the Big Ten and the NCAA, is still ongoing. That has not been resolved. So let's go back to Burgergate. For the NCAA has made a final decision on this deal. The NCAA is sanctioning Michigan with probation and recruiting penalties in this matter. Now, the probation period will be for the next 3 years. Michigan will also pay an undisclosed fine. That shouldn't be any problem. And they will suffer recruiting penalties. Not a lot of details on that. It will probably amount to reduced contact periods with recruits. That's my educated guess on that matter. Nowhere in the report did it say that Michigan will have to vacate wins, lose scholarships, or face a postseason bowl ban. None of that's in there. So in short, in my opinion, if Michigan does nothing nefarious over the next 3 years, this amounts to a slap on the wrist and should not affect Michigan's future ability to compete at the highest level. A little funny side note here, though. The NCAA the report also said that these sanctions were about the actions of 5 individuals who currently or previously worked for Michigan's football program. But one former but unnamed coach did not participate in this agreement between the school and the NCAA. And that portion of the case will be looked at separately by the Committee of Infractions. Now, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out that one unnamed coach that did not participate in this agreement was Jim Harbaugh. He basically told the NCAA to pound sand. I'm out of here. I'm in the NFL. I'm no longer involved. Athletic Director Ward Manuel said that this joint resolution between the school and the NCAA pleases him so they can move forward, and he will have no further comment, nor does he have any further information on the matter that he's willing to give out anyway. We'll also point out again that SPYGATE is still an ongoing investigation by the NCAA and the Big Ten, but Burgergate is over. It is over, and Michigan will survive it. So 1 down, 1 to go regarding NCAA investigations. Now, Michigan's Maize and Blue Spring game is Saturday at the Big House at noon on national TV on Fox. We'll have more on that on tomorrow's podcast. A little preview, if you will, for Wolverine fans. Spent a lot of time last week talking about Ohio State and Penn State. We're going to do a deep dive into Michigan's spring game this Saturday. By the way, some other news out of Michigan. Michigan staffer and former quarterback Denard Robinson was arrested Monday following a single car accident. He was allegedly operating his car while intoxicated. Robinson is the assistant director of player personnel, and according to head coach Sherrone Moore, he will be suspended immediately. Moore said he will have no further comment at this time. So that's the latest with what's going on in Ann Arbor. A very, very busy day up at Michigan. Again, this is all while spring football is winding down and getting ready for a spring football game, the Maize and Blue, that we're all very excited about. And again, that'll be on national TV on Fox. So we'll check that out. We'll take a look at the quarterback situation. Who comes out ahead there? That's a big question as to who's going to replace J.J. McCarthy. Wink Martindale's running his new system there on defense. We'll look forward to all that and get our first peek at what the Wolverines will look like. And I know a lot of Big Ten people back and forth. We got a look at Ohio State last week. Ohio State has a very, very strong football team. Question marks as they work their way through their 5 quarterbacks on the roster. Similar situation at Michigan, strong team, although they did lose a lot of people to the NFL, still a question mark at quarterback. So we'll iron all that out. We'll get our own opinion, take a look at it ourselves, and see what we think regarding that. Always love to hear what you guys think as well. By the way, if you enjoy this, or if you have a friend or an acquaintance that you think would like this podcast, Lockdown Big Ten, maybe you work with a Big Ten alum or a family member that's a Big Ten alum, they would probably like this podcast. Let them know. Spread the word of mouth. Either way, going to ask you to subscribe real quick. Click the button. You're good. It's free. No further information required. And you can follow Lockdown Big Ten for free wherever you get your podcast. That way you'll get the latest episode of this podcast as soon as it becomes available each and every day. So we have some transfer portal news. Both the football and the basketball portals are open right now at the same time because football opened up this week. We have a few details from a few schools around the league and some much needed good news from Mike Woodson and the Indiana basketball program. We'll have all of that. Hang tight 1 minute right here on Locked On Big Ten. Monopoly Go. You've all played Monopoly before, right? Monopoly Go is different. If you're a competitive person like me and you want to be better than all your friends and kind of stick it to them once in a while, Monopoly Go may be for you. You can help out your competitive side here with Monopoly Go. It's been downloaded over 150 million times, and it's a great twist on Monopoly where you play on not one but hundreds of Monopoly boards in crazy locations, building up amazing cities that bring you big money. And the best part is you can mess with your friends while you're playing with it. You can charge them whatever you want on rent, on many iconic properties. And just like classic Monopoly, you can do those things, but you can rob their vaults, rob their money. and enrich yourself. It's fun. I've told you, it's like an Ocean's 11 movie. You got leaderboards to show how awesome you are. It's all fantastic. But you can team up with friends or against them or people all around the world in timed tournaments to earn huge rewards. So get in the game and join your friends. Download Monopoly Go now for free on the App Store or Google Play. Once again, that is Monopoly Go. I want to thank everybody for making Locked On Big Ten your first listen each and every day, especially you everydayers out there that really help us go. Spread the word. Meanwhile, be sure to subscribe, and you can do that on YouTube or share, follow, and like Locked On Big Ten wherever you catch us. Locked On Big Ten, your team every day. And don't forget our website, talkbig10, number 10.com. We archive all of our podcasts there, group them by schools, teams, or chronological. You can catch yesterday's podcast right before this one. So check it out, talkbig10, number 10.com. Transfer portal news, as promised. All right, let's start with Wisconsin. Wisconsin linebacker TJ Bollers put his name in the transfer portal. He's been with the Badgers for 3 seasons. He's seen action in 16 games, mostly on special teams. Probably wants to go somewhere where he can play just a little bit more. Nebraska, defensive back Corey Collier and linebacker Eric Fields, they have entered the portal. Collier had been at Florida for 2 years before coming to Lincoln a year ago, but he's only appeared in 5 games, had no stats whatsoever, didn't make any plays. So Fields was a red shirt who never played as well. So they're moving on for another opportunity. The Minnesota Golden Gophers, they saw 4 players exit via the portal. They include Trey Bixby. That's a defensive lineman. Offensive tackle Derek Mister. Offensive tackle Cade McConnell. And corner Tariq Watson. Watson is the most significant of that bunch. He played in all 13 games last year as a redshirt freshman, and he made 10 tackles. So that's just a sprinkling of what's going on. We'll expect more and more each and every day. Again, the portal just opened up this week in football and a lot of jostling going on. And I think once all the spring games are done, then players will really have a good idea where they are on the depth chart and whether they want to hang around and compete or whether they have a spot sewn up or whether they need to go somewhere else to get some playing time. Or maybe they're in their final year and they want to go somewhere else and, again, get more playing time. A lot of times it just comes down to that. So I would expect more and more of these sort of announcements in future Locked On Big Ten podcasts right here. Okay. Let's talk about first-year Indiana football coach Curt Cignetti. He is getting ready for the Hoosier spring game. That is Thursday night, tomorrow night. And he just lost a quarterback and a wide receiver to the transfer portal. Those rooms are getting a little crowded. So Brock Lowry, it's just this exact scenario we were just talking about a moment ago. And he's quarterback and wide receiver Derek Bowler. They're out. Lowry kind of found himself 4th on the depth chart behind Curtis Rourke, who seems to be the veteran that's going to get the job. Taven Jackson is still there. And of course, Tyler Cherry, the young recruit, they're very high on, in-state recruit. Lowry appeared in 4 games last year and threw and completed just 1 pass on a fake punt versus Maryland last year. So he's like, I'm not getting any action. I'm not getting any younger. I got to go somewhere else and play. As far as the wide receiver Bowler, he hasn't seen any action and is in a wide receiver room that has 6 players with at least 63 career catches. So he is deep on the depth chart and has decided to go play elsewhere. Also, running back Trent Howland and wide receiver Cam Perry have also departed the Hoosiers in the transfer portal. And since the end of the season and Tom Allen's departure when he was fired as the head coach, 30 Indiana players have left via the portal. But they've brought in like about 20 more coming back. Big turnover. Again, new coach, new system, new regime. We'll see what it brings. That's what the transfer portal is all about. Now, as long as we're talking about Indiana, there was a situation with Indiana basketball. Okay, they had a disappointing year this year. They did not get into the NCAA tournament. It was Mike Woodson's 3rd year. They only had 1 recruit signed up to come in, and then he decided he was not going to come in. It was a 5-star. So he had all these scholarships available, plus a couple of kids left as well. I think he had like 8 scholarships to fill. All right, so he's been out there recruiting, and the transfer portal is wide open, and he's checking off a lot of the top guys that are available to the whole country. coming to Bloomington, Indiana. This is actually pretty exciting if you're a Hoosier fan. He, first of all, this week just landed Arizona center Omar Ballo. He's regarded as the best remaining player in the portal, averaged 13 points and 10 rebounds per game. He makes shots. He's got, in fact, in his career, his lowest field goal percentage for a season is 62%. He makes his shots. Great inside player, plays defense, and this will be a nice replacement for Khalil Ware, who was the big man for the Hoosiers, who transferred in from Oregon last year and off to a super slow start, and all of a sudden, something started clicking. And it's going to be a lottery pick in the NBA draft. So they can replace him. And Omar is a 7-footer, a legitimate 7-footer. And he didn't have to face Zach Edey. So he's a 7-footer in the Big Ten. There's no 7'4" guy at Purdue anymore. It's pretty good. They also got the Pac-12 Freshman of the Year in point guard Miles Rice last year. He was the 17th ranked player in the portal. They needed that to replace Xavier at point guard. And 5-star forward McDonald's All-American Bryson Tucker just signed a couple weeks ago. You ask why would he still be available this late if he was a 5-star? Well, he was set to skip college, and he was going to play 1 year in the elite for the elite G League team. That team folded. And so he's like looking at his options. All right, maybe I'll go to college for 1 year. Boom, sign with the Hoosiers. Woodson's got a knack for signing some players late like this. So there's 3 really good players coming in, and he's still got 4 scholarships left there in Bloomington, and he's bringing some more in this weekend for a visit. And if you're not familiar with things in Bloomington, this weekend is Little 500 weekend. It's a bike race in a stadium. Fraternities, they all compete against each other. They made a movie about this years ago called Breaking Away. And Dennis Quaid, one of his first movies. Check it out. But anyway, big party weekend in Bloomington. I know, because I went there. Anyway, great weekend to bring some recruits in. If it's a non-basketball weekend, might as well bring them into Little 5 weekend, biggest party weekend of the year. So we'll see if Mike Woodson can get a few more signed, but doing a great job. And there were a lot of people that were really upset with Mike Woodson this year. You should have read the message boards, man. People were down on him all of a sudden. And how they feel about him now? Looking pretty good. Here we are in the middle of the week, getting to be late April, mid-April. You know what that means, NFL draft. Locked On has the NFL mock draft live on April 17th tonight at 7 o'clock Eastern time, streaming on the Locked On Sports Today 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube and the free Amazon Fire TV channels app. It's an ultimate 6 episodes. It's an 6-episode series, again, starting tonight, 7 o'clock Eastern. You can hear who the local Locked On experts are picking for every NFL franchise, live reactions from local college football experts. It even has a bit of a fantasy football angle. Again, it's the Locked On NFL mock draft tonight, Wednesday night, April 17th, 7 o'clock Eastern time, streaming live on all Locked On Sports Today 24/7 streaming channel and YouTube, or the free Amazon Fire TV channels app, which we tell you all about all the time. All right, in the middle of the week, we like to do power rankings. Today, we're going to power rank, actually just factual rank, all 18 football stadiums in the Big Ten. We're going to include the new teams, see where they fit in with the teams and the stadiums that you're used to. Size matters, right? We're going to do that. It's coming up next right here on Locked On Big Ten. Yahoo Finance is a sponsor, and I want to tell you about them because, I've got, not to get too personal with my thing, but, I got a bank account app, and I got a investment app, and 401k. You could put it all together in one place with Yahoo Finance. They can do that. You can see all of your investments and retirement accounts in one place with Yahoo Finance. You can also consolidate your views from multiple accounts just into one hub right there. And you can access the expert analysis you need to tend to your entire portfolio with confidence. Whether you're a seasoned investor or looking for a little extra guidance, Yahoo Finance gives you all the tools and data you need in one place. Securely link your brokerage accounts for a unified view of your wealth, including 401ks and other investments. It's a comprehensive perspective, and it sets apart great investors. And it's how Yahoo Finance ensures that you have the insight to look at your wealth in its entirety. Right there, one place. Over 90 million users, by the way. For comprehensive financial news and analysis, visit the brand behind every great investor, yahoofinance.com, the number one financial destination. That's yahoofinance.com. That's yahoofinance.com. All right. I want to take a look now at our stadiums, all 18 football stadiums. This is part of our midweek Wednesday power rankings. We power rank something every Wednesday. So we're going to rank these. We're going to put them on screen. If you're audio only, you can check them out because I will give you all the details. If it's on video, here it is. We're going to pop it up on screen to take a look by size, and we'll see where these new Pac-12 teams fit in the mix. Not a lot of change in the top three. Michigan and Michigan Stadium with 107,601, built in 1927. It is the third largest stadium in the world. Still is. Penn State's Beaver Stadium coming in at second with just over 106,000. Built in 1960. It is the second biggest stadium in the Western Hemisphere, right behind Michigan Stadium. At number three, you got Ohio State's Ohio Stadium with a little more than 102, almost 103,000. Stadium was built in 1922, of course, remodeled when they closed off the shoe. At number four, the newcomer, UCLA. Of course, they play in the granddaddy of them all, the Rose Bowl. And, of course, they seat over 91,000, built in 1922. I've been there, and it's get a little run down. They can fit a few more than the 91,000 for a Rose Bowl setup, by the way. At number five, Nebraska's Memorial Stadium. I think we have 4 stadiums now in the Big Ten that have the name Memorial Stadium or the Coliseum as well. But Nebraska, that holds 85,000. That's been remodeled. They used to hold over 100, right? Back in the day. And it's also 100 years old. USC's LA Memorial Coliseum, that holds 77,500. They come in at number 6 as the 6th largest. And number 7, Wisconsin's Camp Randall Stadium, 75,822. And what a scene that place is when they're all dancing and jumping around to the song Jump Around. And number 8, Michigan State's Spartan Stadium. Been the home there for the Spartans for 100 years, just over 75,000 people. Great atmosphere when it's packed. At number 9, Washington's Husky Stadium at just over 70,000. By the way, so they got those, I don't want to call it a roof, but they got the overhangs on both sides at the back over the back of the sides of the stadium, and it throws the sound back down. And did you know that Husky Stadium has, out of all the college football stadiums, it has the largest decibel reading ever recorded in a college football game at 133.6. That's like standing next to a jetliner, a jet, and it's louder than that. All right, let's see here. That's the top 9. At number 10, Iowa's Kinnick Stadium at just over 69,000 people. Of course, one of the greatest traditions when 69,000 people turn around at the end of the third quarter and give a wave to the Children's Hospital there over the corner of the stadium. Awesome. At number 11, Purdue's Ross-Ade Stadium with just over 61,000 people. They just remodeled it last year. It's 100 years old. Got the new scoreboard, elevators in there, the whole deal. At number 12, Illinois Memorial Stadium, over 60,000 people. Another big stadium in the Big Ten. At number 13, Oregon's Autzen Stadium. It's a little more quaint, a little smaller than you may think at 54,000, but it is one of the loudest, craziest places and best home field advantages you'll find. You'll get used to that watching Big Ten fans watching games at Oregon. At number 14, we got Indiana and Memorial Stadium at just over 52,000. They, by the way, they're getting ready they've redone it. It's a beautiful stadium. And now I think they're going to do some more modern stuff on the inside as well. Rutgers, SHI Stadium at over 52,000 people coming in at number 15. Maryland, their stadium at almost 52,000 coming in at number 16. You got Minnesota's Huntington Bank Stadium at almost 51,000. And then at number 18, the smallest stadium in the Big Ten, Northwestern's Ryan Field, currently, up till this year, held 47,000 people. They're knocking it down as we speak. For the next 2 years, the team is going to play on the lacrosse field and soccer field. We're going to put some bleachers in around there right alongside the lakefront on campus while they redo Ryan Field. Now, when they redo it, it's going to be newer. It's going to be fancier. It's going to be nicer, but it's going to be smaller, more quaint. And it's only going to hold 35,000 people. That should be enough there for Northwestern, right? Anyway, great. They have more football seasons like they had this past year. They're going to need a bigger stadium than that. So maybe, hopefully, plans you can expand it once they build a new one. Just get the first one done. Oh, here I am talking about expansion already. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. So anyway, there you have it. That's our power rankings. And as far as size goes with stadiums and where the new Pac-12 stadiums fit in the mix compared to the stadiums that we're used to here in the Big Ten. So I hope you enjoyed that as well. And always ask you if you want to chime in, particularly earlier about the Michigan sanctions from the NCAA. Love to hear from you on that. That seems about right. Too excessive, not enough, whatever you think. And we'll get ready for the Michigan spring game in our next podcast as well. Keep our eye on the transfer portal for both basketball and football as well. Many ways for you to interact with me. Hit me up at Twitter or X at TalkBig10 number 10. Don't forget on YouTube as well. Love it when you guys go back and forth there. And you can also check us out on our website, talkbig10 number 10.com. After this one, go there and watch another one. Watch yesterday's. We talked about Ohio State earlier this week, for example. Check that out. We talked about Penn State and their offense as well. It's all there, just right there on Lockdown Big Ten. Glad to have you. In the meantime, before you go, subscribe if you don't mind. Click it on, free, simple, no other information required. You can subscribe and follow this podcast right now on your favorite podcast app, and you'll get the latest episode of Locked On Big Ten as soon as it becomes available each and every day. Also, don't forget, our friends at Locked On Sports Today are there for you 24/7. You can check them out as well. Love it. Can't wait till we meet again tomorrow. Thank you for checking us out today. Again, don't forget to tell your friends about us. Word of mouth. Spread this thing. Let's get it going. And we'll have a lot of fun together covering the Big Ten as it grows and grows each and every day. That'll do it. For Locked On Big Ten, I'm Craig Sheeman. Talk to you next time.